Batgirl issue 13, Brian Q. Miller writing with Pierre Perez, if I can say that properly, on the art. So this is the start of the second trade. So there's 2 thick trades now. It used to be 3 trades it was split into, but now it's just the 2 thicker ones. So this is the start of book 2. And this is a Clayface story. Although it's not, I mean, you can tell from the cover it's a Clayface story, but in the story itself, it doesn't really reveal itself as a Clayface story till a little bit in. It's basically Steph saying, oh, well, no classes on Tuesday. And since there's no classes and it's daytime, I get to be a normal teenager. Well, not teenager, but like, a normal college student. And she's playing ping pong. And doing
very intensely.
A lot of trash talk going on. Really fun sequence. Is Fists of Fury to dual wield ping pong paddles? Is that like a standard thing that I just don't know, or is this just something that like Miller's thought up here? It's funny either way.
No idea.
It's funny either way, but
yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, but Proxy now is the one calling her. A little bit of awkwardness because Steph immediately says "oh" for Oracle.
Yeah, and she's like, maybe I should change the ringtone for when it's you. It's like that would be a good idea.
But Steph is delighted to hear that there's a bank robbery and she's the closest Batten that's available to go and deal with it. Wonderful bit of the art here actually is that the shadow on the path as she's running towards it is making that of a bat.
It's just enough where I'm like, yeah, because it's her arm up and the hair's flowing. And, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's just plausible enough that it could happen because it's not a neat shadow.
Yeah. But it's just it's just nice. I always forget the cop's name that she's flirting with.
Nick Gage, I believe.
Nick Gage, yeah. Oh, Gage is there. I think it is Nick. I think you're probably right. But there's a shootout going on. They're trying to deal with like whoever this is, because there's been actually it's not a bank robbery yet. Sorry, the bank robbery comes later. Right now, it's just someone's running because they've murdered their wife. But he ends up at a bank. But he's chasing the culprit, and then the culprit turns out to be Clayface because great panel as well where he just fires his arms out. The clay arms.
I mean, I love the first page where we cut to this, the first 2 panels, where you've got on the megaphone being like, all right, let's take this easy, and then you just got the next panel of the gunshots and him ducking behind the car and the megaphone flying off. The pacing of those 2 panels is fantastic.
Yeah, and of course Steph shows up, just as Gage is falling down the alleyway from the rooftop, falling to his death.
Yeah. And he says Nick of time I guess his name is Nick.
Yeah, and
it's a terrible pun.
She swoops in, saves him. Look, they're all very happy about it. And as always, they have a lot more. They have a lot more banter because she's like, oh, stop being so attractive in her head, and so much of what makes Steph so likable is that inner monologue that's happening kind of in real time to whatever's going on. Because sometimes you get the inner monologues, but they're sort of in retrospect. Like they'll be doing it like after the fact and talking about what happened, and it'll have this kind of reverence to it. Steph's is completely in the moment, and I guess it represents how she thinks and how she, how her mind flows. It's
this book would be significantly lesser without that.
Yeah. So, yes, and Proxy's giving her shit for flirting.
Do you want a room?
Over the comms. But she's like, hey, so he's went to a bank. She goes to the bank and says, okay, we don't know who he is. He could be anyone here. And she goes around and basically, everyone thinks she's robbing the place, which is another running joke in this issue. And she's like, I'm not robbing the place. Everyone calm down.
Yeah. Even after she initiates the lockdown herself.
Yeah, and she uses these goop grenades on all the guards to try and figure
Gooperangs.
Gooperangs, yes. How could I make that mistake?
Give them their correct title.
But it all kind of comes together because the woman that was murdered is the assistant manager, whoever this bank, and apparently the staff saw her go downstairs to the vault, and she's like, okay, so that's where Clayface is. So she goes down. I actually do love the art here. I love when Clayface looks over the shoulder when he's still as this woman, but the face goes kind of evil. The eyes kind of like, okay, this is more than just this person. There's it's really good at showing that there's someone else underneath the face.
And then it does full head 180 in the next panel and starts to morph back into Clayface.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun B-movie visuals with Clayface in this one, with the horror, which is nice. And it's not a horror story by any means, but they have a lot of fun with the ways.
Just treat Clayface as a horror character.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So of course, and I love the payoff to the robbing the bank joke, because when she gets like blasted with clay into the lobby again of the bank, Gage is talking to like, one of the employees, and the first bubble on the page is him saying, "She wasn't trying to rob the bank. Where did she go?"
Yeah.
It's really good running gag, and they do the whole cliche thing of like, okay, there's two Stephs. Clayface is turned into Steph. He doesn't know which one to shoot. And the real Steph is like, shoot me, and the idea being that it'll prove that I'm real because I'll bleed.
Yeah, and a couple of things I really like here. One, when they both say shoot her at the same time, it's in the same lettering bubble, just with tails going to both of them. It's a nice touch.
Yeah.
And then the art when she says shoot me, the close up on the eyes, and then her off panel now saying I'll bleed, and it's the close up on his eyes now with the gun and the determination. I think those two panels are probably the best in the book.
Yeah, I mean the bottom panel where the actual bullet hit on Clayface, the splat is just really well done. It's also just an intriguing visual because you could, if you made that splat red, it would look like a normal gunshot almost. It would just feel like a piece of art in like maybe a slightly wacky violent book. But I loved it. All you've really done is made it a clay blood splat, and it just looks really
added
good.
the sound effect.
And added the sound effect.
You wouldn't use splat.
No, you wouldn't use splat, but again, the idea of showing that this is Steph, but the eyes, being pure white, and the expressions, like, okay, we can see that there's someone else underneath that. The art does a really good job of that, actually. So yeah, ultimately she uses water and her gooperangs to
she freezes him.
Freeze him, yeah. It's like, oh, there we go. Gage though refuses to high five her, which she's very upset about.
I get it. Even after she's like, don't leave me hanging, he's still going, nope.
Yep. And she's squeeing as well. Don't forget that. She squees.
I did. Yes, I did. Forgot that.
Yes, because he says he trusts her for whatever reason. But yeah,
she's like, don't you dare. Batgirls don't. And she's like, fine.
But
Squee.
yeah, he was trying to get to a safety deposit box. That turns out to be what he was going after. And it turns out to be a photo of him and his wife.
And for it was his safety deposit box,
yes.
as in Basil Carlo.
Yeah, I mean he did murder someone to get access to it, so he still definitely done some villainous stuff. But there's a sympathetic, twist to this towards the end.
Right. There's the idea that he is trying to get something of his own. It wasn't like he was actually trying to rob the bank. Weirdly. Yeah,
and the ending is really somber here, and kind of implies that Cage might have maybe he had a wife that died or something. He seems to kind of this hits him a little bit.
Yeah. He's definitely got a history.
Yeah, so we're kind of hinting at what his past is, so it's doing some, forward momentum stuff. That's the final page of the book, just him walking off into the, not quite a sunset yet, but it's a low sun.
Yeah, it's waning.
Yes. No, the book's really fun. All the action with Clayface is super exciting. Steph's banter interactions with both Proxy and Gage are both fun per usual. The art, despite the fact that there's no Garbett, it's still really good. Perez pulling weight.
Yeah, Perez has been sharing duty on the book for at least a good handful of issues. I think most of the Flood arc, if nothing else, and maybe something before that. So it doesn't feel like a drastic shift in what the book was or anything like that. It's this is an artist we've been familiar with.
Yeah, it's a good time. Good time. So, and forgive me if I'm trying to disguise it in the middle of that sentence. But yeah, so it's a good solid issue. And next time you get the Supergirl team up, which I'm actually excited about.
Yes, as they put it at the end of the single issue, world's almost finest. Although they crossed the almost out, but yeah.
Yeah. Should be world's already finest. That was a Male Fuzz TV joke. For anyone who watches all of our content. Well, we literally have the word already or almost cancelled out and replaced with already. It's a fine joke. What are you rating this issue of Batgirl?
I'm going to give it an 8.5. This is a great issue.
I'll give it the solid 8.